The lights blaze across the packed event hall. Every seat filled, every camera ready. The crowd hums with energy, flashes igniting like tiny storms. At the podium stands Donald Trump, confident as ever, a smirk tugging at his lips. "So," begins, voice laced with mockery, "we're here to celebrate leadership, even from those whose legacies are, let's just say, questionable." Laughter ripples through the audience. It's sharp, uneasy, the kind that lives somewhere between amusement and disbelief. Trump leans into it, gesturing toward the second row where Barack Obama sits. Composed, hands folded, eyes steady. Maybe he'll teach us how to make speeches that sound good, even if nothing gets done. Trump quips, grinning wide. Cameras swing instantly toward Obama. The crowd senses something, a storm brewing beneath. Still water, but Obama doesn't flinch. He doesn't roll his eyes, doesn't smirk. Instead, he simply exhales, rises from his chair, and buttons his jacket. The laughter dies. The air thickens. He takes one deliberate step forward, then another. Flashbulbs fire. The silence is deafening, and in that single, unhurried moment, the dynamic shifts. The stage no longer belongs to the man at the podium, but no one, not even Trump, could have predicted what happened next. When Obama finally stepped to the mic, the screen flickers to a rewind moments earlier. The giant banner above the stage reads Global Leadership Summit 2025. It's not a rally or campaign stop, it's a stage for ideas. With cameras from every major network trained on it, politicians, journalists, and young delegates fill the hall, eager to hear lessons from 2 generations of American power. Trump, ever the showman, had taken the microphone first. He spoke with swagger, tossing verbal jabs like confetti. "We fixed the chaos. We brought back strength. Some people gave speeches, we built results," he said, gesturing subtly toward Obama's seat. His followers in the crowd roared in laughter, phones raised, ready to post the moment before it even ended. But this wasn't entertainment for everyone. The mentors, students, diplomats in the audience weren't laughing. They were studying the contrast at the edge of the stage. Barack Obama sat motionless, calm, collected, his fingers resting lightly on the table. He'd been silent for years, choosing to stay above the noise. But something about that smirk, that jab, pierced deeper. The cameras caught it, the slight tightening of his jaw, the measured breath. Viewers watching live leaned closer to their screens because this wasn't just a disagreement. It was a collision of legacies, arrogance versus earned respect, noise versus depth. And as the tension built, the man Trump thought he'd embarrassed was about to turn that laughter into stunned silence. The screen bursts alive with a rapid montage, a timeline of showmanship and spectacle. Trump behind podiums, drenched in bright lights, his voice booming through arenas packed with red caps and roaring chants. Every scene drips with confidence, or the performance of it. The sound bites overlap like a crescendo. "We're winning again. Total disaster. Fake news." He wasn't just a politician. He was a producer of chaos, a master of attention. The crowd's laughter was his applause, every insult his encore. The more he mocked, the more they cheered, a cycle of noise feeding ego. But as the images flash, the tone shifts. We see quieter moments, a man scrolling through his phone long after midnight, glued to headlines about himself. Every critique is a wound. Every late-night tweet, a reflex. Behind the smirk and bluster hides an old insecurity, a hunger not for power, but for constant validation. Clips rewind 2 years earlier, the birther controversy. Trump on talk shows, questioning Obama's birthplace, spreading conspiracies with a smile. Crowds laughed. Cameras rolled. The damage was real. He'd found his weapon. Humiliation. And he wielded it without hesitation. Yet through each jab and jeer, Obama never retaliated. That restraint, that refusal to descend became Trump's quiet frustration. How do you defeat someone who won't play your game? The script lingers on headlines. Trump taunts Obama again. Twitter feud escalates. Legacy war continues. But even in victory laps, there's something hollow. The cheers grow predictable, the mockery repetitive. His empire, built on noise, begins to echo itself, because beneath the spectacle lies fragility. The dominance is an act, the cruelty a shield. And now, years later, facing Obama again, not on TV screens, but in the same room, that act is about to meet its reckoning. The same arrogance that made him famous will soon make him small. But while Trump's empire ran on noise, Obama's power came from something far more dangerous to his critics: silence and discipline. The scene softens, the lights dim, music slows. We cut to old footage, a young Barack Obama walking through the streets of Chicago, sleeves rolled up, notebook in hand. He's listening, nodding, learning from the people who would never appear on magazine covers: factory workers, single mothers, young dreamers with tired eyes. His voice, from an old recording, drifts in like memory. If you're walking down the right path and you're willing to keep walking, eventually you'll make progress. This was never a man born into legacy. It was one built from scratch, block by block, speech by speech, heartbreak by heartbreak. Every closed door became a reason to knock again. Every insult, a reason to speak clearer, not louder. The montage builds. The 2004 Democratic Convention. That moment when a first-term senator electrified the nation with a single line: "There's not a liberal America and a conservative America. There's the United States of America," the crowd roared. But he didn't bask. He smiled, almost shyly, as if the words belonged to everyone. Not him. Then come the darker years, the endless headlines, the racist caricatures, the birther lies. The weight of leadership, the cost of dignity. Yet, through every storm, he carried the same calm. When they go low, we go high, not as performance, as survival. Cut to him in the Oval Office, late at night, writing alone. The world demanded answers, yet he stayed grounded. The community organizer who never forgot the power of patience. His silence wasn't weakness. It was precision. His restraint wasn't passivity. It was strength disguised as grace. Through his journey, the narrator explains, Obama's greatest achievement wasn't policy. It was proving that intelligence could command more power than outrage. That empathy could disarm arrogance. That leadership could still look like listening. We see flashes of the millions who felt seen because of him. Immigrants clutching citizenship papers. Young kids saying, "Yes, we can." Elders wiping tears as they watched history bend toward hope. This wasn't about politics anymore. It was about legacy, not the kind printed in headlines, but etched in hearts. And that's what makes this moment, this confrontation, more than personal. It's symbolic. The calm after years of noise, the quiet after years of shouting, and that night. When Trump tried to turn laughter into a weapon, Obama reminded everyone, history remembers character, not noise. The laughter hasn't even faded when Trump leans into the microphone, grinning. "I mean, come on," he says, gesturing toward Obama with that familiar swagger. "We've all heard the same speeches for years. Hope, change, unity. Nice bedtime stories, but not how the real world works." The room chuckles, though uneasily. Even those laughing can sense the tone teetering toward disrespect. Cameras flash, recording every second. Obama sits still, hands folded, his expression unreadable. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't react. The kind of composure that unnerves people who rely on noise. Trump continues, his voice growing louder, feeding off the energy. "We need action, not another lecture on kindness." The crowd's laughter falters. Some shift in their seats. Others glance at Obama, waiting. The air feels heavy now, the kind of silence before thunder. And then, finally, Obama moves. Slowly, deliberately. He rises from his chair, buttoning his jacket as if preparing for something sacred. The entire room goes quiet. Even Trump takes half a step back, unsure if this was the moment he went too far. The microphone squeals softly as Obama adjusts it. He looks around the room, not at Trump, but at the audience, as if addressing history itself. "You know," he begins, voice low but commanding, "I've always believed leadership isn't about who talks the loudest. No one breathes. It's about who listens when the noise fades. His tone is steady, calm, but it lands like a strike. A ripple moves through the crowd. Even Trump's grin tightens. Obama pauses, scanning the faces before him. And sometimes, he adds, when people mistake kindness for weakness, they learn what real strength looks like. The words hang in the air, electric, unshakable. Cameras zoom in. You can see it, the first flicker of unease in Trump's eyes. And then, with just one line, Obama flipped the entire room upside down. The auditorium held its breath. Every eye fixed on Barack Obama as he leaned slightly forward, his hands resting lightly on the podium. His voice cut through the tension, calm, precise, unyielding. You know, he began, mockery is easy. Anyone can sneer, point, or imitate. But building something that lasts, that takes courage. That takes work. That is legacy. Gasps rippled through the room. Phones rose instinctively, capturing every second. The audience, once uncertain, began to sense the shift. They weren't witnessing a clash of personalities anymore. They were witnessing truth delivered with precision. Obama didn't shout. He didn't need to. Instead, he spoke of real accomplishments, subtle reminders that resonated like a hammer striking glass, healthcare for millions, diplomacy that preserved peace, programs that lifted communities, moments where leadership meant sacrifice over applause. Each point landed with weight, each pause giving the hall time to absorb the contrast between substance and spectacle. He shifted his gaze deliberately toward Trump, calm, unflinching yet razor-sharp. Mockery is easy, building something that lasts. That's legacy. The words struck like a lightning bolt. Cameras captured every micro-expression, the tightening of Trump's jaw, the blink of disbelief, the faint flicker of discomfort where smugness had once lived.
Ow.
For the first time that night, the air of invincibility wavered. The audience erupted. Applause thundered, some standing, some wiping away tears. Phones continued to record, not just for content, but to remember the moment. Every flash, every cheer, seemed to echo Obama's message. Dignity.com, intelligence, that is what endures. And yet, Obama did not gloat. He didn't smile triumphantly or mock back, simply stepped back from the mic, leaving silence that was louder than any roar. The hush was not empty. It was a statement, a space where reflection could flourish, where the weight of the moment settled into every mind present. Barron Trump, at the center of this storm, shifted in his seat. His confident posture wavered. The smirk was gone. For the first time, he appeared to measure, to reflect, to understand the difference between inherited bravado and earned respect. The hall was still buzzing, the echoes of applause fading, but not disappearing. Obama's presence filled the room without a sound. A quiet authority that contrasted sharply against the chaos of performance and noise. It was a masterclass in restraint. In power, a lesson that arrogance could be outmatched not by confrontation, but by measured truth and grace. And as the crowd absorbed it, as social media cameras captured every angle, one fact became clear. This wasn't just a rebuttal. This was history unfolding. But the real shock came not from Obama's words, but from what happened after the HSS. Applause, ChatGPT said. Within hours, the 9-second clip became unstoppable. Social media ignited hashtag Obama mic drop, hashtag leadership wins, hashtag.com power trending globally. Every platform lit up, TikTok remixes, YouTube reaction videos, Instagram stories replaying the moment in slow motion. No emoji. Every viewer wanted to witness it again. Political commentators scrambled to weigh in. Some praised the composure, the elegance, the reminder that leadership could be measured in restraint rather than volume. Others, loyal to Trump, tried to spin the narrative, calling it overhyped or just words. But even the harshest critics couldn't ignore the impact. Celebrities and influencers joined the chorus, tweeting admiration for Obama's quiet authority. Late-night hosts replayed it, the crowd erupting into laughter at Trump's stunned expression, followed by sincere nods at Obama's finesse. Meanwhile, Trump's team issued a series of statements, carefully worded, defensive, rehearsed. He respects all public figures, they said, and continues to learn from history. but it was too little too late. The verdict had already been cast online. Memes spread faster than press releases, each one emphasizing the contrast between bluster and dignity. The audience of millions had already picked sides, and they sided with composure, intelligence, and earned respect. The hall that once echoed with nervous chuckles now seemed a microcosm of the internet's. Judgment, truth delivered gracefully, still cuts deeper than mockery. For viewers watching from around the globe, the moment became more than a confrontation. It became a lesson in character. The applause, the tweets, the memes, they weren't just reactions. They were confirmation that actions rooted in dignity resonate far beyond the room, beyond politics, beyond fleeting headlines. Every retweet, every post, every replay amplified the lesson. Arrogance is loud, but grace is unforgettable. The story was no longer just about Trump or Obama. It was about the kind of leadership people crave. The power of calm in a world dominated by noise. But beneath the applause, there was something deeper, a message that reached far beyond politics. Later, in the quiet after the lights dimmed and the applause faded, Barack Obama stood alone backstage. No cameras, no audience, just a man reflecting on what had unfolded and the power of choices made in silence. He didn't gloat. He didn't relish in the spectacle. Instead, his calm became a lesson for anyone paying attention. In a world quick to reward noise and ridicule, he had shown that patience, dignity, and intellect can carry more weight than any shouted insult. Every word, every pause, every measured glance was a reminder. True leadership is rooted in principle, not performance. Images fade in of people around the world, watching, reacting, learning. Faces of young leaders inspired, parents sharing the clip with their children, students discussing the moment in classrooms. The reach of that calm, deliberate power extended far beyond the hall. It wasn't politics anymore. It was an idea, a quiet revolution of respect, humility, and perseverance. A quote appears on screen. Respect isn't inherited, it's earned, one choice at a time. The music swells, reverberating with the gravity of the message. It is a truth that transcends time, background, and ideology. The narrative drives home the moral. Greatness isn't loud. It isn't performed for applause. It is built in the UH. Quiet moments when restraint meets courage, when intelligence meets integrity, and when humility meets action. Obama's example becomes a mirror for the audience, a challenge to embody the same strength, to rise above pettiness, and to act with dignity in the face of provocation. This is the lesson that lingers long after laughter ends and headlines fade. It is the moment when arrogance was met not with fury, but with unshakable composure, a reminder that true power speaks softly but resonates forever. And as the lights dimmed, one truth lingered. The world had just witnessed the difference between a leader and a performer. As the screen fades to black, the narrator's voice softens, carrying weight beyond the images. In a world full of noise, true strength still sounds like calm. It isn't measured in volume or spectacle. It is measured in choices, in restraint, in the courage to rise above provocation. History remembers character, not clamor. Leadership isn't inherited. It is earned through action, patience, and dignity. The quote lingers in the air, Obama's words echoing one final time. Respect isn't inherited. It's earned, one choice at a time. Then, the call comes, direct and unwavering. If you believe leadership is about dignity, not dominance, if you believe wisdom still matters in a world chasing headlines, share this story. Let the world witness that composure can triumph over chaos, that grace can outshine arrogance, and that character will always endure. The narration closes with a subtle pause, letting the words settle. Now, the audience is left not just reflecting, but feeling part of something larger, a movement of thoughtfulness, courage, and truth. Because in every moment of provocation, in every viral clash, one lesson remains clear. Choices define legacy, and dignity still wins.